Hello, my sacral beauties. Welcome to the She Sacral podcast, where we focus on burnout recovery through the power of sacred pleasure. So welcome. We have been talking about the burnout archetypes utilizing the Myers-Briggs personality types. So if you're familiar with your personality type, then awesome. You're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're like, what is she saying? I don't know these words. That is okay. Check out the first episode in this series that really breaks it all down for you so that you kind of have a deeper understanding of what the personality types are and what they mean. But today we're going to break down the personality type ISFJ, which can bring the burnout archetype of the Overgiver. Now, as an ISFJ, you tend to be introverted in the way that you draw in energy, rely on your senses to process information, use your feelings with making decisions, and judging in the way that you relate to structure and flexibility. As an ISFJ, your sacred strengths are that you are nurturing, you're dependable, and you are deeply caring. Your loyalty creates stability in a world full of chaos, and people feel safe because of your consistency and your heart. So I want you to take a deep breath and honor that, because your sense of care is sacred. But what happens when the care that you have for others starts to cost you your health and lead you into burnout? Some signs that your strengths are starting to become your shadow is that you may notice that you feel guilty every time you say no, so you rarely do. You may notice that people are constantly asking you, hey, can you do this for me? Can you help me out? Can you listen to me? I have to vent. This is going on in my life. And even though you really don't have the energy for it, you just prioritize it. You just do it because you feel guilty if you do say no. Your calendar is full of other people's needs, but not so much for you. And you might tend to feel resentful, but you keep pushing to be quote unquote good. So you may have some good girl wounds that I would love to cover in another series, because I think that is absolutely very common and something that I personally run into myself. Now, some clues that your body will let you know that it's being overworked or overwhelmed is noticing back and shoulder tension, frequently getting colds, or experiencing more fatigue. When it comes to the way that we cope when we are in a state of survival, we may tend to fight, flight or flee, freeze or fawn. But for your personality type, you tend to run into the fawn response, which means that you tend to please others in order to feel safe and loved. I've heard many times where people may say that people pleasing is a form of manipulation, but it's truly a way of surviving. And I know that some people may not understand that, but we're going to break down some of those core beliefs and root causes that can create the survival mechanism for you. You may also have a hyper awareness of other people's needs, but be completely blind to your own. So if you consider yourself to be an empath, this may also resonate with you as well. Some core beliefs or things you may say in your mind are, my worth is based in how much I give. If I say no, I'm selfish. And everyone depends on me. I can't let them down. When it comes to root causes, how we grew up, our impact around our environment, our childhood completely shapes the way that we perceive life. So you may have received some childhood messages that love equals selflessness. That if you are to love someone, if you are to experience love, that means you are to be completely selfless. You are to be self-sacrificing and give to others. That is the way that you experience love. You could possibly have been raised to be the family stabilizer. Maybe you were the glue in the family to provide a sense of stability for everyone around you, except for yourself. It's easy to just sacrifice yourself because you are in control of that. But it's harder for you to not give towards other people because that's going to trigger maybe a fear of being unloved, or maybe that you're a bad person or you're a mean person if you don't give and show love to other people. Now, a generational belief that could have been passed down towards you from other people in your family, your parents, your grandparents, could be that women earn love through sacrifice. That's what makes a great mother. That's what makes a great wife, is that you must sacrifice yourself in order to earn love. So you may carry a core fear that disappointing others is going to lead you into being rejected and have a loss of belonging. But I want to reframe things a little bit for you and remind you that true care starts with you, and that your needs are not a burden. They are sacred. You deserve to receive that love as well. And I think it's important that everyone should be able to see how others self-regulate themselves, how they care for their emotions, how they care for their body. Sometimes we don't see an example of that, so we don't learn how to do it for ourselves. We learn how to do it for other people, but it creates a disconnection within ourselves to where we don't actually know how to take care of ourselves, but we're really good at taking care of other people, but we can't articulate our needs. We can't express our needs. We feel guilty for expressing our needs, even though other people are getting their needs met. Not everyone operates the same way, and I think that's the challenging part. Everyone else is not an overgiver. It would be different if all human beings were just overgivers and it was just an equal feeling across the board, but that's not the case. Everyone is so different. So that's something else to keep in mind, is that you may not receive the same thing that you're giving or putting out towards people. So just keep that in mind and know that you matter, you are important, and you deserve to be prioritized. So let's talk a little bit more about how this can show up in your body and your nervous system. Physically, you may notice that you may get sick more frequently, or your immune system starts to crash more. You might get those shoulder knots, more migraines, and more bloating. When we tend to be overgivers or give a lot of ourselves, we just hold a lot of tension in our shoulders. We might be tensing up and bringing our shoulders up higher a little bit more. And that's kind of a way that we protect ourselves, like we're bracing ourselves to experience that stress. Now, hormonally, and this kind of goes for all the burnout archetypes, unfortunately, but because cortisol is flooding our system, we can experience a lot of irregularities in our cycles. We may experience heavier cycles. We may experience more mood swings because cortisol starts to steal the hormone progesterone, which is responsible for the second half of our cycle, which keeps us calm, at ease, and it is also responsible for the first 8 weeks of life. So some fertility issues may also come up. When it comes to your sacral energy, your sense of creativity and sensual energy can tend to shrink when you're always in this space of service mode, right? We have survival mode, but you may also be in service mode as well, constantly serving, constantly giving towards others, but it's imbalanced. So I often ask myself, how do we run into this burnout trap or this vicious cycle of burnout? You may start off by saying yes out of guilt until you may notice resentment simmers and your body starts crashing. So a prime example can look like maybe you organized an office event or a work event, but then you also agreed to babysit for your friend and cook dinner for your family all in one day. And now you have absolutely no time for yourself. You may find yourself saying yes instantly out of guilt or this feeling of duty. Like if someone asked you to do it, well, now you feel responsible, like it's your duty to do it. You might end up overloading your plate because, well, you might think no one else will or no one else cares. Maybe I'm the caring person out of this family, or I'm the caring person in this organization or this group, so I'll do it. You may avoid asking for help because you should be able to handle it. Yeah, you're there for everyone else, but I should be able to handle it. I should be able to just do this. I got it. I'll take care of it later. You might also start sacrificing rest or meals or self-care for someone else's needs. Now, of course, if you're listening to this and you're like, man, this sounds like me, but then I'm also a little bit more extroverted sometimes too, then definitely tune into the next episode where we will break down the extroverted version of this archetype, which is the social overgiver. So you may find other similarities with that archetype as well. So I want to share a little micro ritual that you can do to start bringing yourself back into balance and start reconnecting with yourself if you're reaching these spaces of burnout. You could take a 24-hour pause before saying yes. Give yourself a full day. If it still feels heavy to you after 24 hours, then honor that as it is a sacred no. Oftentimes, we're so quick to say yes. Yes, I could do it, but we haven't even looked at our calendar. We haven't processed how we would feel in those moments. We haven't thought about our other commitments. We haven't thought about anything. Maybe you have planned to have a little time with yourself, but it doesn't register in your mind as a priority or something that's just as important as a commitment to someone else. So you just boop, delete it off your calendar, and whatever someone else asks you, you put it right on there. Let's start waiting at least a full day to process before saying yes. Now, one more pleasure ritual that you can do is that if you are giving towards other people, give towards yourself as well. Light a candle, maybe sip some tea, set the ambiance, set up a nice little cozy altar space for yourself. I think it's important that we create spaces for the energy that we want to feel in, because that really helps us to immerse ourselves in that experience as opposed to rushing through it. And just stretch for 10 minutes. Just a nice little sensual stretch with some soft music. You can even join us for our Lavender Flow series, where we're going to exercise a little bit with our Pilates board. And it's a nice little sensual vibe. It's relaxing. It's a good way to give back towards our bodies. And you could do that on our YouTube channel on Saturdays. So I'd love to have you join and do that with me. I think it would be a lot of fun. Now, a common misconception is that, loving deeply and caring too much is a curse, right? So I don't want you to think you're cursed for loving deeply or giving towards others. But when love becomes the space of self-erasure or deleting your sense of self, burnout will absolutely take over. So start with a pause, start with one no, one act of softness towards yourself. And if you want some support, you can join us with the 30-day pleasure rituals at shesacral.com. Or if you're looking for more one-on-one deep support, we can explore your burnout archetype even further, as well as your burnout stage, and create a nice guided plan for you. So remember that your care is absolutely sacred, and so are you. Thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the She Sacral podcast.